Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am your host Sleepy Celestial. Now guys, let's get right into this. So this is going to be part 2 of my continuation video. This time we're flash forwarding to the Quincy side, as well as the dark history of the true sins of the world. Now throughout the Bleach Core 2, I think from episode 23 to episode 26, I think the anime got very dark. What I mean by that is, as much as people can't stand Yhwach and what he has done to the Shinigamis, when we take a step back after he finished releasing Ashwelin, I think what came up in my mind is that Yhwach did not mean to use Ashwelin in the past. But in order for him to preserve the race of the Quincy's, of what little is left, he had to use Ashwelin to keep himself alive, thus making the race of Quincy's preserve. Now, Ichibe is a very curious character because I start looking back when the first thing that I was looking at from episode 23 or 24, how besides Ichibe is the one I would say that orchestrated the Bluff O Sealed by having limiters on the other members, even though some of the other members are pioneers in their own field and generating the Soul Society. I think that Bluff O Seal also has a curse because anybody that goes out of line loses their power. Because remember, Ichibe's ability, Ichimonji, allows him to take all the darkness out of the world. Thus, also, you assume that all the names that has the power of the Banki'S with it. Remember, from what we have learned from Renji and from what we have learned from the manga, for people that hasn't read it, that was spoilerless. So anybody that knows, Ichibe's ability is able to cut names. So we even seen that in the anime, as well as he's able to name every sword or every Bankai that was created from all the 13 Core God squads. Which got me thinking, when there was the meeting between Yhwach, which is now considered canon, Yhwach was having a meeting with Ichibe during the primordial days of the Lickright, which is the Quincy Empire. I'm assuming the Soul King was already created, and that Yhwach, what separates me from now after watching everything from Core 2 is this. How did Ichibe knew that, Yhwach was gonna come back to claim his father? Or it seems like Yhwach didn't even know his father got split into multiple parts. Or is Yhwach part of the Soul King that became sentient, where because he's the offspring and the actual son of the Soul King, what happened to the mom? Right? There's so many questions because we saw so many depiction of the creation of Yhwach and the great sin after him activating his magical eyes, right? We saw that in the flashback, and it seems like Ichibe was training Ichigo just for that day to either counter things, or is Ichibe acting in his own accord? Because everything that Ichibe has done up to this anime has been very shady, and it's been on his own interest. He used the Soul King's name as a leverage in order for people to do what he wants them to do. That's what I've learned from him, because when Ichigo asks Ichibe, hey, you guys could have been helping us when we were getting slaughtered, and he said our job as Squad Zero members are not to help when certain task, but we have to train them to withhold that task. And Ichigo said that that means that you guys haven't done half of the things you guys promised that you was gonna do. So along Ichigo's training, he started getting the same weird pattern pupil on his eyes, going through the Soul King's test, or the weight of the Soul King and what he has to carry. It's like a burden. So looking back on the primordial days from manga to now anime canon, and how the trinity of the governing powers of Bleach started. Rail is the king of everything, but at the same time he is a puppet to Ichibe, because Ichibe, so long there is a Soul King, it seems like Ichibe could live. And Ichibe, Yuha, Ichigo, all of them have one thing in common, especially Ichibe. Ichibe saw when the Soul King split himself into multiple parts, and also that water that the Soul King kind of like removed himself or his parts. Who gave it to him? Was it the answer? There's so many questions that has now arisen. Because let me tell you guys this. After looking back, and I forgot to mention that in my previous video, Ichimonji is actually a water type Zanpakuto. Let me tell you why. One, Ichimonji is ink, but even though ink is still a form of liquid, right? And as they say, water has memory. So he's able to wash things away with that ability, or create things into existence. That is the ability of Ichimonji. Or he could remove things from the reincarnation realm. That is such a powerful technique, but at the same time he bound a curse on the other members that anybody that don't get out of line will get their Banki'S or everything revoked. And I think that's why they have the blood oath seal, because in order for Ichibe to control his squad, he must also place a curse on them. So it's like they have to, so the real culprit and the real person that's behind everything is Ichibe. And there's a theory I have, which in the near future I will explain to everyone what it is. But thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe if you like what you hear here. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys for part 3. Bye bye.